I've spent a lot of time around a lot of different musicians, and something I've seen everyone who's actively pursuing their art deal with is burnout. Maybe you can relate to it, I know I can. Basically, you become overwhelmed and eventually lose motivation to pick up your instrument. One of the easiest ways we can alleviate the stresses we put on ourselves is by prioritizing our musical efforts. That is, making sure the time we put into our instrument is being invested as wisely as possible. For me personally, there's only so much creative energy I have in a day. It's important to know your threshold and stay within it. I find I can usually get about 4 to 5 hours of musical creativity out of myself. If I go beyond that, I'll see a drastic drop-off in production. This can be extremely discouraging, frustrating, and does nothing positive for my relationship with music. When I notice myself hitting that wall, I'll either shut it down for the night or move on to something that doesn't require me to be creative. Songwriting, coming up with video ideas, improvising, all drains that energy, but just because I'm stepping away from that doesn't mean I have to stop working. I'll instead focus my efforts on more menial tasks like practicing scales, editing a vlog like this one, that sort of thing. My point is, don't waste your time working on something you can do significantly more efficiently tomorrow when you're not tired. You also want to be aware of those times when you're especially inspired and don't want to stop. Musicians live for those moments. When you're in the zone, it's amazing. However, I've found that when that high wears off, there's a creative hangover. It's significantly harder to get to that same level the next day. It all ties into that idea of finite creative energy. If you use too much of it one day, you'll pay for it the next. If this happens to you, be aware of it and know that in all likelihood it's temporary. Now, something I've brought up a number of times here is being in tune with your goals and desires. I found it valuable to write out a goal hierarchy. Take a step back from what you're doing and ask yourself, what do you really want from music? Maybe it's to find a life full of happiness guided by your songs. In order to do that, you want to share your music with the world. To be able to spend adequate time doing that, you need to be paid for your efforts. Therefore, you need to build a fan base. To build a fan base, you need an interesting product, and maybe your songs sound a little boring because you have trouble writing engaging chord progressions. You'll need to do a brush up on your theory, and so you enroll in an online theory class. Do you see how as we worked our way through this hypothetical goal structure, our tasks became smaller and more focused? Having done this, we can see what we're working towards and we have a path to get there. That's what separates dreams from goals. This can keep us motivated and prevents us from wasting time on things that don't lead to the next step in the hierarchy. When you do make your way into the professional world, it'll become increasingly harder to prioritize your time. Ideally, you'll have a wealth of gigs and opportunities coming in. You want to make sure that everything you commit to is valuable to you. If I'm committing a night to a show, that means I'm not working on my YouTube channel. Since building this page has been my main goal in life, I'll prioritize work here over most gigs. For everything you do, there's an opportunity cost you pay. Make sure it's worthwhile. I had a teacher in college show me a little trick to help determine if a job is worth taking. The gig triangle. The idea is that there are 3 factors to look at when an opportunity presents itself. 1, does it pay well? 2, do you love the music? 3, are the people you'll be working with fun to hang out with? Money, music, friends. If 2 out of 3 of those factors are met, then you should take the gig. If 1 or none of them are there, then you shouldn't waste your time on it. If all 3 are present, then grab onto it and hang on for dear life. Now, this system applies more to the professional musician. See, there are different stages that we find ourselves in on our musical journey. At first, there's the discovery stage. You're new to guitar, everything is fun and exciting, you're on cloud 9, the sky's the limit. It eventually gets to the point where you realize in order to get to the next level, you need to seriously hone your craft, the development stage. For me, this was preparing for college and my college years. If you survive those first 2 stages, then it's on to becoming a professional. The reason I bring this up is because you should value your time differently at different stages. When I was in my development stage, I would take gigs that I would never take now. Any chance to play was feeding directly into my development. Money wasn't the main priority. You can learn a lot of lessons on the bandstand that you can't learn anywhere else, but once you've had those experiences, you need something more to justify it. What I hope you take away from this video is that no matter what you're doing with music, you think about how you're spending your hours. If something doesn't feel right and music isn't as fun as it used to be, then it's not going to magically fix itself. Look at how you're prioritizing your efforts so you can get back on track. And if nothing seems to work, it never hurts to take a break. I once spent 6 months backpacking around Australia, and I would only plunk around on my acoustic guitar when I felt the urge. When I got home, I was full of energy and inspired to get serious about practice. Remember, no matter what some romantic doofus might say, you don't need music to survive. You need food, water, and shelter. Music should be the cherry on top of that cake that makes life worth living. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. At the end of every video, I make the effort to thank the people who support me through Patreon. And while it may seem like white noise at this point, it's incredibly important to what I do. YouTube can be a mysterious beast, and Patreon provides me with a sense of stability. It allows me to allocate the time required to make the regular content you see here. So to all my patrons, thank you so much. If you like what I do and you're interested in that program, hit that link over there. I'm Samurai Guitarist, and I will see you again soon.